boxing world, the community of boxing. Hey, I hope everybody had a great weekend. Um, I hope we was all entertained. I'm gonna be honest with you. I was pleasantly surprised and pleasantly entertained. Um, we all know about the knockout heard around the world. It somewhat answered my question that I proposed. If a tree falls in the forest and nobody is there to hear it, does it still make a sound? And I was thinking of that because of this whole pandemic boxing with the fake crowd and the fake noise cheering from the fans. It all just seemed to me lacking luster. Something was missing. A big component was missing. You know what I'm saying? It's just not the same without the roaring of the bloodthirsty crowd, especially when you have an exciting knockout. You know, it's something that's almost eerie. It's something that's almost eerie about seeing someone get knocked out with no reaction from the crowd backing it up. You know what I'm saying? There's something eerie about that. When you see Povetkin knock out Dillian Whyte and he knocked him out cold, it seemed a lot more cold without the audience there. I mean, it seemed a lot more brutal. There's something about how a crowd reacting to violence balances everything out. You know what I'm saying? But if you take away that element, if you take away the crowd, and it's just somebody getting knocked out, and then, you know, it's like dead silence, it's kind of eerie. It's kind of like, you know, it's kind of like, man, that was cold. You know what I'm saying? That was cold-blooded. But anyways, man, still, it was a great fight. Short fight, short and to the point. You know what I'm saying? I like that, man. Knockouts matter. Knockouts matter. You know what I'm saying? I started a series back when Anthony Joshua fought Andy Ruiz and went the distance. And I came back with videos saying, to me personally, I love the sweet science. I have no quarrels with someone that wants to take someone 12 rounds and outbox them. But for me, especially in the heavyweight department, to me, knockouts matter. You know what I'm saying? People want to see home runs. People want to see slam dunks. People want to see, in bowling, they want to see strikes. You know what I'm saying? Football, people want to see Hail Marys. You know what I mean? Soccer, people want to see goals. Goal, you know, I don't know, however they do soccer. Football. For me, boxing, I love to see knockouts, period, point blank. So, whether Dillian Whyte would have knocked out Povetkin or Povetkin knocking out Dillian Whyte, either way would have been satisfying for me. So I salute, tip my hat to both fighters. Once again, I'm not the biggest fan of Dillian Whyte, more neutral, but you know, hey, it's heavyweight boxing, anything can happen. I'm kind of I don't know how I feel yet about the whole automatic rematch thing. It's interesting. I definitely think it'll make the fight a lot more attention. It's going to bring a lot more attention to the second fight because of the first fight. But let's see if Dillian Whyte comes back. You know, once he licks his wounds, heals himself, goes back to the drawing board. Let's see if Dillian Whyte comes back and brings a new tactic. Is he going to fight like Anthony Joshua fought Andy Ruiz in the second fight? Is he going to be more cautious? Or is he going to go in there and try to knock Povetkin out? Will he knock Povetkin out? Or will Povetkin be able to catch a lightning in a bottle 2 times and knock out, you know, Dillian Whyte? That's all interesting to me. That's why I say knockouts matter. When Dillian Whyte's fight Povetkin, everybody pretty much had, you know, everybody leaned towards, a few people I heard, you know, saying respecting Povetkin, but most people put Dillian Whyte, you know what I'm saying, a favor to win. But when Povetkin knocks out Dillian Whyte in the fashion that he did in a rematch, if Dillian Whyte comes back and just outboxes him for 12 rounds and wins, is that going to be satisfying to people? For me personally, no. Knockouts matter. That's why I appreciate what Anthony Joshua did with Andy Ruiz Part 2. I gave him credit for the W. It was beautiful, sweet science, but at the same time, this dude put you down 4 times. I would have liked to see you come back and put him down. You know what I'm saying? But that's neither here nor is it there. Yeah, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Rematch. Either way, good fight. Sebastian Formella versus Shawn Porter. Another good fight, period, point blank. Entertaining. If you like boxing, you got boxing. Shawn Porter lived up to his name. Showtime. He always does. Shawn Porter just did what Shawn Porter does. He Shawn Portered. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to just do a lot of hooting and hollering and, you know what I'm saying, oh, that was the greatest fight that I ever... I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be honest. I have to look at the level of competition in Sebastian Formella, because just like Shawn Porter, I didn't know who Sebastian Formella was. I had to go back and do some film study. I looked up his boxing record. I looked at about 4 of his fights. I looked up 4 of his fights, looked up his highlights, and looked at his box record. And to be honest with you, I just was not... I can't take away anything from any boxer. Anybody that can put their arms up like this and go 12 rounds is a beast. Is a beast, period. Most people cannot put their hands up like this and do 2 rounds, period, point blank. Most people can't do this and do one whole full round without throwing up in the corner. So anybody that can go 12 rounds with their dukes up, they get my respect. Sebastian Formella, I tip my hat. You got my respect. True grit. I'm talking about John Wayne. That's his name, John Wayne. Yeah, the old cowboy dude. John Wayne, True Grit. What was the dude who did the remake of True Grit? I forget his name. Slips my mind. But true grit, true metal. Live dog in the fight from round 1 through round 12. He never tucked tail to Kurt. He never, you know what I'm saying, went into survival mode. He never went into, I'm just gonna survive 12 rounds mode. He stayed in fight mode. The problem is with Sebastian Formella is he don't have power. He literally doesn't have enough power. He's older. He's 33, so I don't see him really... Be quiet. He's 33 years old. I don't see him really having a whole lot of room for improvement. You know what I'm saying? I think what we saw last night was probably the best performance I ever saw from him from what I've watched, 4 fights and highlights. But like I said, for what he did against Shawn Porter, respect and salute from Shawn Porter. You put on the show. I would say it was an A-level performance, but when I take into consideration the level of opposition, I have to bring it down a notch to a B-level performance. You still got touched, to your own admission. You got touched more than you wanted to get touched. He had no power. By your own admittance, you could take his power and walk through his punches. So he had no power. He posed no threat to you. So I have to take it down to a B, almost a B minus. I'll give it a B minus performance for one, because you didn't knock him out. Period, point blank. You didn't knock him out. You didn't put him on his knee. You didn't even fold him down and make him take a knee. I have to deduct some points for that in my book. You know what I'm saying? Everybody else can see how they see it, but in my book, knockouts matter, knockdowns matter. This is boxing. You know what I'm saying? You are a brawler / boxer. You was getting off on him, touched him whenever you want to, was popping his head back like a Pez dispenser, was popping his head back like Rocky fighting Clobber Lang in part 3. Had no problem, you know what I'm saying, wiping his nose, scraping his body, popping his head back with a jab. I don't understand what it was that you couldn't do to put him down, even though dude came in good shape and was tough as nails. At the same time, what you said your dad always talks about the power of the mind. And Sebastian Formella had it in his mind to go 12 rounds no matter what. At the same time, your mind should have had it in your will, in your, you know what I'm saying, that motivation should have been the same, if not more, to put him down. So your mind should have been putting him down. Maybe not a knockout, but at least a knockdown. Maybe I had to go back and rewatch the whole fight, but I don't remember seeing Sebastian Formella get knocked down. So, congratulations to Shawn Porter. Congratulations to Formella. I feel like even in his loss, it was somewhat a victory. And for Shawn Porter, in his victory, it was somewhat still a loss. Because whenever you talk about the welterweight division, you got to think about the Keith Thurmans, Danny Garcias, Errol Spence, Terrence Bud Crawford, and Manny Pacquiao. You know what I'm saying? And you got to see how you think they would have performed in that same fight against Shawn Porter or that same fight against Sebastian Formella. So, just like when you think about heavyweights, when you think about Dillian Whyte, you got to think about Tyson Fury. You got to think about Anthony Joshua. You got to think about Deontay Wilder. So, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Shawn Porter, I feel what he did. I think what he did was, in this pandemic time, keep yourself relevant, keep yourself busy. You can't just sit on the shelf forever and you're not getting yourself caught up in a lot of drama. You got to stay busy. Idle minds and idle hands is the devil's playground. So to keep yourself busy, take on a fighter like Sebastian Formella, I understand it. I just don't see the wrinkles. These so-called wrinkles that you added to your game. It's hard for me to see wrinkles when you fighting somebody that's lesser opponent, lesser opposition. You know what I'm saying? Because you should have starched dude. Pun intended. I don't see wrinkles because you didn't starch dude. You should have knocked him out. You know what I mean? I did see some wrinkles. I did see where he cleaned up his mess a little bit, but a little less rough tactics, a little less elbows, a little less headbutts. But at the same time, to me, that's what makes Shawn Porter Shawn Porter. Like when you think of Shawn Porter fighting Danny Garcia, to be honest with you, Shawn Porter was losing the first half of the fight, and then he won the second half of the fight. But to be all honest, in the middle, when Danny Garcia was starting to get that momentum, he was hit by a headbutt from Shawn Porter, and that headbutt had a lot to do with the pendulum swinging into Shawn Porter's direction. Same thing with Andre Berto, same thing with Danny Garcia. It was a headbutt. It wasn't intentional because I don't think Shawn Porter is a dirty fighter. I think he's a dirty boxer. He just has a dirty boxing style. But I don't think he's a dirty fighter intentionally trying to hurt people dirty. But my point is this. When he was fighting Danny Garcia, he was losing that fight. It was a headbutt, I think, that took Danny Garcia out of his element for 1 or 2 rounds. And then Shawn Porter had pretty much started to beat him with just conditioning and outworking him. You see what I'm saying? So he did clean up his work with Formella. I didn't see the headbutts and the elbows and things like that. I seen a lot more picking the shots. But at the same time, with him picking his shots, he didn't knock dude out and knock dude down as if, you know what I'm saying, the rough tactics, once he cleaned it up and get it to be more tactical, when he tries to go more tactical, I think it takes away from his ability to vanquish his opponents. It lets him, you know what I'm saying, live to fight another day. And that's to me where he separates himself from Errol Spence. Errol Spence, when he gets precise with his punching placement, it's a wrap. When he decides to commit to the body and then start breaking opponents down, like to me, if we would have seen Errol Spence in there with Sebastian Formella wouldn't have stood up 12 rounds. I just don't see that happening. I think he would have got broke down to the body. He was in great shape, but he would have got broke down to the body. And then where the body goes down, the head's going to follow. He'd eventually would have started breaking Sebastian Formella because Sebastian was there to be hit like a punching bag. And Shawn Porter just seemed like he just lacked a little bit of power, to be honest. I just don't see, I see Danny Garcia would have knocked out Sebastian Formella. Keith Thurman probably would have knocked out with one time. You know what I'm saying? He would have been back to one time, Keith Thurman. Danny Garcia would have knocked him out with that no look left hook. And Errol Spence would have broke him down to the body and then broke him down to the knee and then put him out of his misery. And even Manny Pacquiao, I think, would have took Sebastian Formella. I think Manny Pacquiao just getting older, he probably would have took him for 12 rounds. But I guarantee you, Sebastian Formella would have went down at least one of those rounds. He just would have went down just by the volume of, you know what I'm saying, that they call that the ratio. That storm, that never-ending storm. Manny Pacquiao puts on that never-ending storm, and his opponents just drop down. Shawn Porter just was in spots, flurries. He would put his foot on the gas and then ease up just enough for Formella to get his second win. He would put his foot on the gas and then he would ease back. Just enough for him to go 12 rounds. It was almost like Shawn Porter was carrying him. It was almost like Shawn Porter was carrying Sebastian Formella. He wasn't, because I seen Shawn Porter in the best shape I ever seen him in, and he looked like he genuinely was trying to put this dude out, and he just couldn't put this dude out. Anyways, y'all let me know what y'all think about it, man. Try to keep the comments section open. I'm starting to close my comments because of like the little spam type of comments some people like to plug in. But, you know, I'm going to leave the comments open. Y'all holler back at me. Let me know what y'all think about Shawn Porter versus Sebastian Formella, and about Sasha Povetkin against Dillian Whyte. What you think will happen in the rematch. And I'm going to leave it right there. I appreciate y'all time. It's Nocturnal Thoughts, man. I'm out.